crust pizza. Real ingredients, unforgettable flavours. Wing House. Wings, beers, sports. And end of financial year fuel card bonus with new Tiggo 4 petrol SUV at Cherry Shell Harbour.
Welcome to Saturday League Kickoff.
Yes, good morning. This is Saturday League Kickoff with thanks to Crust Pizza. Real ingredients, unforgettable flavours, classic pizzas from $15. Welcome to our viewers on Fox League and our listeners across the SEN network and the SEN app. Welcome, Kempy. Another massive night of NRL Indigenous round this weekend. But I tell you what, we've had a fantastic start to the round, haven't we?
Oh, mate, what a game. What, 2 games last night. I just feel so lucky that we get such a good Friday night. I'll be honest, there's been some games over the last few weeks that, let's just say, they've been tough to get through at times. Not last night. Last night was a showcase to how good rugby league can be, especially the first game. The Warriors putting on an absolute show. I tell you what, that haka and with the musical, I'm sorry it's not a musical instrument, but that, I guess, flute or something like that playing in the background, that was haunting. And I apologize if it's not supposed to be that, but like, imagine going there to play them and the boys are standing there in their Indigenous jerseys doing the haka. Incredible show put on by the Warriors, and just the way they played, like, you could tell they play with mana. They like to call it mana. They played with all of that because they were outstanding. It's the best I've seen the Warriors play since 2011. I thought it was an incredible performance. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, we're going to get into it all on today's show. As Kempy said, we'll review Friday night footy. The Warriors shine on home turf over there at Mount Smart Stadium. Too good for the Panthers. And the Roosters, they came back late against the Bulldogs. We'll review Thursday night footy as well. The Cows, they bounced back from that big loss last week over the Titans. We'll preview the rest of the weekend's matches. And don't forget, you can join the conversation anytime throughout the show. 1300 01 1170 or give us a text 0457 736 736. But Kempy, let's get into it. Our opening tee shot proudly presented by City Golf Club, where every great round begins. Now, it was a big night last night for the Warriors and for their halfback as well. Luke Metcalf made a statement in his 3rd game of the season. His performance outstanding. He came in due to Tamari Martin, that lower leg injury. What a game from Metcalf last night, Kempy.
Mate, he was outstanding. And I've got to be honest, we all know his attack is incredible. His attack is up there with the best. We saw it last year. I was a little bit worried about his defence. I thought that he'd get targeted a little bit, but he was outstanding across the board. But I tell you who was a real win for. Obviously, it's a win for Metcalf. And I think he didn't surprise anyone. We all know how good he is. But I think what was surprising is how quickly he managed to get into form. I think the biggest winner here, it's Webster. Because he's won on 2 fronts. The first front is obviously now he has crazy depth heading into finals footy. And he has the headache of either Tamari Martin or Luke Metcalf. Now, I think they'll probably say to Tamari Martin, it's a hammy injury. Give it 2 weeks. Don't rush you back. We need you long term. But that also gives them the luxury of giving Metcalf another opportunity. But I tell you what wins even bigger for Webster. So middle of the year, it gets all reported that Metcalf wants to play 7. And basically, because he can't play 7, Tamari Martin's playing really good. Harris Tavita's playing really good. He says, I'm out of here. And if you read between the lines, at least in my opinion, it looks like the Warriors probably weren't really happy with the way that all unfolded and basically said, all right, you have to earn the jersey again. You have to earn the jersey again. So not only has he sent an extremely strong point to his playing group that it does not matter how talented you are, if we're a little bit unhappy and we kind of feel like maybe that wasn't team first, we'll make you earn the jersey back. That's a huge win for Webster long term. And look, that's just my opinion outside looking in when you look at some of the quotes that Andrew Webster has said. So he wins on 2 fronts. Not only does he get Metcalf back into best form, but he also has this cultural standard now of it is always team first. It does not matter who you are. I will make it work without you if you aren't going to put team first. Now, I don't know if that's actually what happened. It just seems like outside looking in because it took so long to get back into the side. It's a huge win for the Warriors and lock them in. They are premiership threats this year. Lock it away. It is an absolute... I'd be shocked beyond belief if they go loss and are out of the finals. Now, am I saying they're definitely going to win it? Not necessarily, but do they have the chance to win it? Are they one of the few teams? I would say right now it's the Panthers, it's the Dolphins. I've fallen away a little bit. It's the Roosters and it's the Warriors. I haven't been able to confidently say that for many years with the Warriors. Incredible performance. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, well, Luke Metcalf, I thought he was outstanding. His kicking game was phenomenal. He obviously finished the game with 2 tries. I love Luke Metcalf's celebration too. I mean, you see that last night, the arms up, the eyes closed. It just, you can tell it was a big moment for him and a big game for him. And he needed to make the most of the opportunity, and I think he did that. 1 line break assist. 1 line break, 1 try assist also. I thought his kicking game was really nice. He kicked early. He kicked often. His boot, the length on his boot actually was really impressive too. I love the way he controlled the football side. But let's get into it now. Let's get into the details of the game, Kempy, for our Friday night review. Test drive the Isuzu MUX to experience the difference. Visit your local dealer today. The Warriors 28 defeat the Panthers 22. You spoke about the haka. I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've seen the Warriors do the haka before a game. We saw the Aussie boys at the back, arm in arm. It was a big game for them, the physicality. Have you seen the Warriors? I mean, they bashed the Panthers. They did what the Panthers do to other teams to them themselves. Yeah. What a start from the Warriors!
Incredible, and it's almost been like a bit of this story that we've told ourselves for a few years now with the Warriors, that if there is one team that has the physicality to kind of break that Panthers system apart, it's the Warriors. But it's always been, if they can do it, they have it on paper. Can it all come together? And we finally saw last night that. Sometimes, and don't get me wrong, Webster has an incredible system there at the Warriors. They have a great system, but sometimes if you're just bigger, stronger, and faster, you can really put a dent in that Panthers system. And the dent was you get no field position. You get bashed and you get no field position. They were bigger, they were stronger and faster, at least on the night. As I said, I think it's the best Warriors performance I've seen since 2011. That was a game that the Panthers. It's not like the Panthers have been on this crazy good form run and they've just had a bit of a down week. The Panthers also need to start picking up momentum for their season.
Yeah.
It was a big game. And unfortunately, it's the first time in a long time. It's probably the first time where I've felt like that the Panthers, for at least 60 minutes of a game, have been physically dominated.
Yeah. Well, Jason's text through, "G'day boys, thinking that teams are starting to realise that the best way to beat Penrith is to play like Penrith." Thoughts? Look, Kempy, I want to ask you, there was a moment on the Fox League coverage, Michael Ennis mentioned it at the scrum, where Barnett and Lindsay Smith were playing silly buggers, not packing the scrum right. And, the Warriors have always played a very respectful style of football. They're a very respectful team. I wouldn't say, I don't watch a Warriors team and think they play, a grubby style of football. There's someone who errs on the edge.
I think a better word, I reckon, is an honourable style of football.
There you go.
Because respectful is respectful is like you're not willing to hurt the opposition. They absolutely have.
But what I mean is sometimes you need the player to sort of have a bit of intimidation and show that we're willing to stand up. Barnett last night was on a tear, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, Fish was getting in their face too.
Yeah.
And the Panthers, they use this to their advantage, where they can use underhanded tactics and they can get in your face and talk. Talk smack or whatever.
Yep.
And the thing with footy is there's unwritten kind of law of like, well, if you are the big dogs, you've kind of earned the right to speak to me that way. At least when I was playing.
Yep.
And the Panthers actually play on that a little bit. Like, they use the fact that we've won 4 comps. What can you say to that? Like, what can you say to that? We've won 4 comps.
Not much.
There's not much you can say to that. But I think the Warriors were like, we don't care. That was last year. This is now. And anything in the past is not going to stop us from biting back or getting into your face and trying to upset you. Like seeing Brian Toto having to run in for Liam Martin as well.
Yep.
I think that they really dragged them into a dogfight, and the Warriors won the dogfight. They really won the dogfight. It's an incredible performance. I thought Fish, we'll get to his big play a bit later.
Yeah.
I thought Fish led from the front. Across the board, like Leka Halasima.
Yeah, Halasima, he finished the game, Kempy, 19 runs, 191 metres, 9 tackle busts and a try assist. He was so exciting in the centres last night. He was playing with a smile on his face, enjoyment. This kid, the sky's the limit for him, isn't it? With regards to his play and his future. He was outstanding last night. I love what he did. Aaron Clark as well, 1 try, 14 runs, 102 metres. The Warriors have depth, and you need depth to win the competition, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And Leka Halasima, I want to talk about him. He is you can have the best defensive system in the comp. I mean, you go and look at one of his breaks. He gets the 2 blokes that he bumped off, Isaiah Yeo and Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
And that is just an example of sometimes you can train your absolute backside off. You can have the best mindset ever, one of the greatest ever mindsets when you consider Isaiah Yeo and Cleary. And yet sometimes some bloke is just more powerful, faster, and more aggressive. And that guy is Leka Halasima. He is an absolute freak. I'm super interested to see whether they stick with him at centre.
Yeah.
I will say there was a try where I think the fullback Edgar slipped under a tackle. It will be interesting to see how he goes in those small areas with footwork defensively.
Yeah,
but at least in attack, he's definitely making away in the centres, and it does solve a little bit of a problem for them. In regards to reads. They, in reads on the edges there, they'd struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
So, look, Leka was outstanding. I'm in awe of that performance. And Leka Alasima, like even that flick pass, he makes the line break to get him down there.
Yeah.
And then he gets the ball and throws a flick pass back in to score the try. He's an absolute freak. And, when you get into finals footy, you need players like that to explode onto the scene and have a special. I mean, you look at last year, the Broncos had Reece Walsh do it.
Yep.
Maybe it's Leka this year. Maybe it's Leka.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of texts coming through this morning, 0457 736 736. How good for the NRL if the Warriors stay second and get that home final? Always an awesome atmosphere at Go Media. That's from Dale. One here from Dwan. D, do you think Luke Metcalf's kicking game and goal kicking puts him ahead of Tamari Martin as they play a similar style? This is going to be probably a talking point as they head towards the back end of the year, but it's a good headache for Webster to have, right?
Well, I think first of all, he needs to do this more than just one game.
Absolutely.
So I think that if it was the finals tomorrow and Tamari Martin was red hot and ready to go, it'd be pretty harsh to just go, you're gone after one game.
Yep.
But I actually do think the fact it's a hammy injury, it's very easy for physios to go, just give it another week.
Yeah.
And let's see how this goes. I would say Metcalf at his best is probably a better 7 at his best.
Yep.
But then the question remains, they had a lot of field position last night. What are the Warriors like with him at 7, defending their line set after set after set? Maybe they're great. They could be great. We just haven't seen it yet, at least this year. And also, he needs to do it week after week. Now, he doesn't need to play like that week after week. That was incredible.
Yep.
But I would say both players at their best currently where they're at in their career, I reckon Metcalf would be a little bit ahead of him. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree. I think Metcalf just ahead. Although I think what Tamari Martin's done over the past 6-8 weeks has been really impressive. He's scored a lot of tries. His try assists, his creativity's been great as well. So don't forget that he's a very good player. But I love a fired up Luke Metcalf, and we saw that last night. Let's move on now. Let's get the latest from the sheds. Thanks to Best Sheds, Australian sheds at the lowest prices. This is what Andrew Webster had to say last night after the win.
Really proud of the boys tonight. I thought we played really good for 70 minutes. There was a 10-minute period where I think we lost our way a little bit. I think the proudest bit tonight was we dropped the ball. We didn't get it back for probably, 3 sets on our line. We forced an error and got it back. And I was really proud of the boys that dug in there. But there was a period there where they were just like throwing fearless footy, and we weren't real well connected. We were trying to solve it ourselves. But I thought we were real aggressive. We went after them and were clear and didn't take a backward step. There's certainly still some improvement in us, but we definitely need to celebrate what we did well.
What a coaching performance from Andrew Webster. Kempy, what's been your thoughts on what he's done and is doing at the Warriors at the moment?
Well, I take you back to the Metcalf decision. Yeah. Think about the guts it has for Webster to sit down a guy that was leading the Dally M, and granted he did do his hammy, but there was a little period where they lulled a little bit, the Warriors, and it would have been very easy for Webster to pull the trigger. But he waited, and he waited all the way until Tamari Martin got injured. Yeah. So he genuinely, the message he was saying was, we are so team first that the only way you get this jersey back is if an opportunity presents itself, rather than me panicking and dropping someone.
Yep.
He is quietly built a heavyweight club down in New Zealand. Yep. They are a heavyweight club now. Yep. I think they don't get enough credit for how consistent they are. I think they don't get enough credit for, I still think the old school, flary Warriors tag kind of sits on them from early 2000s where, they're this great offloading machine and they're all just power and everything. They do have that. And we saw the power last night and the offloads. They do have that. But I think they don't get enough credit for how disciplined they are. I don't think they get enough credit for their completion rates, for their defense. When you actually look at all of those stats, they're actually some of the best in the competition. I think they actually have the highest completion rate in the competition.
Yep.
And that's been built in 4 years. You know what I mean? And
that hasn't always been a part of their
exactly,
DNA.
That hasn't been a part of their DNA. That's been built in 4 years. And I think that people are underestimating. They've been in the comp for I'll just say roughly 20 years.
95 was the first year.
So 30 years. Yep. So we'll say 30 years. In that entire time, they haven't had junior bases all the way down that are Warriors teams to the 16s or whatever.
Yep.
that only occurred 3 or 4 years ago. I'll say 5 years ago, but I think it was actually 3 or 4 years ago. So imagine how scary the Warriors are going to be now that they actually have juniors all the way from under 16s into first grade. Like, it's getting to the point where there are young players in New Zealand that look at the All Blacks and look at the Warriors, and there are some, not the majority just yet, but it's changing, that are going, you know what? The Warriors.
Yeah.
Put it like this. Imagine a world where the All Blacks are playing for the Warriors. Now, that sounds insane, but that's what they have to deal with over in New Zealand. They've got to deal with NRL clubs poaching their best players and also union taking their best athletes.
Yep.
Now, what does a world look like in 10 or 20 years where the best athletes aren't playing union, they're playing league, and they're playing for the Warriors? It looks like premierships to me.
Yeah.
It looks like premierships to me. It's incredible what they're building. We're just seeing the beginning of it. And also, I just want to send a shout out to the fans. Like, the energy that they have injected into rugby league.
Everywhere.
I've never seen anything
Look
like
what they did
it.
on the Gold Coast last week.
Like, it has been incredible. Go to Magic Round, and it doesn't matter what club you're a fan of. If you ask them which fans have turned out the most, which fans have brought the most energy, they would say the Warriors.
Yep.
I understand that, you know, there are many moving parts to this new age of rugby league that we're in, this golden age that we're looking at with this deal that we've just had done.
Yeah.
I would say the Warriors' energy that they've injected to the game and also the sacrifice they made in 2020 is probably one of the most underrated parts of this golden age of rugby league that we're now witnessing. Because, again, their sacrifice in COVID made sure that the season could happen.
Yep.
Then you look at the injection of the energy that they brought, sold out, the first club ever to sell out every single home game. It's a big underrated part of why we are in the golden age of rugby league right
absolutely. All right, let's have a look at the heavy-duty moment from this game, Kempy. Thanks to Milwaukee forever for the trade. James Fisher-Harris, one of the leaders of this Warriors pack. The cover tackle last night on Scott Sorensen with 7.5 minutes on the clock was impressive. This speaks volumes of Fish and what standards he's brought to the Warriors for a front rower to be in the frame and make that tackle. Your thoughts, mate? What an incredible effort.
You know, it's funny. When he was first signed and AFB was let go to the Sharkies, I think a lot of people looked at the stats and said, you know, Fish runs for, at the Panthers anyway, he would run for about 100 metres a game, 40 to 50 minutes on the field. And you looked at that and you said, well, as a casual fan that doesn't, you know, look at all the other things in rugby league, you looked at it and going, well, is he going to be able to do what AFB does?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, there's an intangible part of Fisher's game that you just cannot measure. Or at least you can measure it, and that is by success on the footy field.
Yep.
And that play that he made at the end there, so, you know, he would have been out on his ass.
Yeah.
You know, he's had an incredible game.
Yep.
To make that cover tackle, he's telling the boys there, I don't just tell you to hold these standards, I hold them myself.
Yep.
And he's also, you know, along with other people, Webster as well, he's also a big reason why, look at all these young forwards. Like, you know, it takes a guy like Fish, like, he connects to those young forwards because I'm sure that he has a similar kind of upbringing. He understands the troubles or the positives that they have in their lives. We keep saying, look at this young gun forward pack at the Warriors. A lot of that has to do with Fish, you know, explaining to them the reasons why they should stay. Like, the Warriors have always had good young talent, but they just haven't all been able to stay at the Warriors because they get poached by other clubs. I just think culturally, Fish, his impact, you know, it'll probably echo for the next 10 or 20 years. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. Fish has been remarkable. And that, you said it, Kempy. Like, the standards, you know, last night when you put yourself in the frame, he's definitely uplifted the standards. That's thanks to Milwaukee forever for the trade. The Panthers last night obviously didn't get the result. They fought hard. They did come close at the back end of the game. Some big takeaways for the Panthers. Obviously, Zayo off the field with an injured pec. Obviously, scans to determine the outcome and how severe that is. Things didn't go their way. Actually, firstly, thought the Yo injury is going to be a significant one, right, Kempy?
It is. I will say that if there is one team that defies what should normally knock you out, it's the Panthers.
Yeah.
They do have Lindsay Smith, who plays very, very similarly. You know, when he gets put at 13, they have similar-ish stats. However, I don't think, like, the leadership that Isaiah Yeo brings, that is going to be super hard to replace.
Yeah.
And if Cleary ever needed to, you know, step into immortality or God mode, I know he's already stepped into it, it would be this final series because it probably looks like, at the very least, he's going to miss, 8 weeks, which would mean probably not available for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
There's about 8 to 9 weeks left if you get all the way to the finals.
Yep.
Get to the grand final. It's a huge loss. It's a huge, huge loss. However, I've learned with the Penrith Panthers that all this history that kind of can you can dictate what will happen in the future because you look to the past. You look at other teams and go, okay, they lost their captain, they can't win. You lost their captain, they can't win. They lost their star player, they can't win. Or, hey, you can't win back-to-back premierships because it's super hard, you get fatigued.
Yep.
How about back-to-back-to-back premierships? So they are a team that bucks the trends.
Yeah.
History doesn't dictate their future.
Yep.
However, I think it's a big, big loss. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. Big loss. No doubt about it. Azeo, the leadership, the minutes he produces as well, like they'll need to find those minutes, you know what I mean? I don't think no one can come and play those minutes. They'll need to make it up with a couple of different changes. So actually, let's go and hear what Ivan Cleary had to say after last night's loss.
Can't win the game at the start, but you can sort of lose it. I just felt like we missed the start. Then all of a sudden you got a guy in the bin, and kind of did okay to minimise the damage there to 18, and then conceded another one just after half time. So yeah, I think there's a fair bit in there just to that we'll learn from and move forward with. It's pretty obvious, I think, but like obviously Yoey's a big loss and hard to replace, but that's how it goes.
There you go, mate. That's Ivan Cleary. Now, 2 questions for you before we got to go to a break.
Yes.
That forward pass, was it the worst one you've ever seen in your life?
Probably the worst forward pass I've ever seen in my life. What's actually doing there?
Bro, what is actually doing? I think we all had the same.
What is actually doing? How did we miss that?
Mate, don't get me started. I'm trying to stay positive with refs.
How did we miss that?
Now, quickly, before we've got to go to a break, was that 10 in the bin for Alamotti?
No, it wasn't. It was an accident, The tackle, he went up. Yes, he got in a dangerous position. There was no force. There was no intent. I thought it may be a penalty on report, but no, not a 10 in the bin. You?
I agree. I think that there was no lifting motion. There was no, driving into his legs. He literally just sat in the chair and he fell over the top of him. I'm not, totally against it because he did land in a dangerous position, and you could argue intent is irrelevant. However, I didn't think it was 10 in the bin. But to be honest, I don't think it changes the result. I think the Warriors were always going to win that. I didn't before the game, but now looking back, they were always going to win that game. But anyway, guys, we have got to go to a break. Give us a text 0457 736 736. Text us about the forward pass, but also text us, was that a sin bin? Up next, we'll review Friday's other match between the Roosters and the Bulldogs. Welcome back to Saturday League Kickoff. Denan and Chad here, whether you're listening on SEN 1170, SENQ, SEN Gold Coast, or simulcast live on Fox League right now. Give us a call, 1300 01 1170, or text us 0457 736 736. Got a bunch of texts coming in at the moment. Chad, what we got?
Yeah, we got one, a couple of you, Kempy. If Cleary leads the Panthers to another championship, he goes one above God. That's from 109. Another one from Shia Graham. Yes, it was a sin bin, accident or not, and it's time to bring back the penalty for a forward pass.
Wow. I mean, look, I can understand the penalty from forward pass with that one. Yes, I can understand. What
about the technology on that? Are we just going to forever just leave? Are we just going to leave it forever?
I don't trust us. We add in another rule. Will we slow? We'll just slow the game down. But if we can get a technology that doesn't slow the game down, it's automatically just boom, maybe. In regards to the sin bin, I still believe what action did he do that was inherently wrong? Anyway, we'll see.
Yep.
The blatant forward pass last night in the Panthers-Warriors game was professional foul. He should have been sent off. Morning, boys. Not a sin bin, just physics. Surely the bunker staff can tell the difference between momentum causing a cartwheel motion versus a genuine pickup and spear tackle. Have a great day, boys. No, I tend to agree, mate. I don't know what Alamotti did inherently wrong there. He tackled normally. He didn't lift. He didn't really... Yeah, I just don't know what he did inherently wrong.
That one's from the Tathra Eagle. Another one here from Warren. Morning, boys. Happy Saturday. I think one of the major reasons the Warriors have taken a step up is that a good bulk of their team are now actually New Zealand residents or New Zealand born or New Zealand heritage. So they buy in more to the culture of the club in the country, and I think that's made a big difference. I mean, you and I have both played at the Warriors. I think the Warriors have also, more recently they've had more, Kiwis play for the Warriors. But we saw the Aussies last night stand up behind the haka. It's important they get the good mix and the good balance of a side, right?
Yeah, I do think that they need to sprinkle in people from Australia or whatever, but I don't mind the fact that I would rather the Kiwi side be majority Kiwis.
Absolutely.
Because they have a unique qualifying, part of their organisation is they're called the New Zealand Warriors.
Yeah.
So when they play, they're representing a country. Whereas, like, I feel like with some of these other, teams, they have less pressure to represent an area. Ironically, what has Penrith Panthers done in their, last incredible run and their dominance, their 4 premierships, is they actually represented the area. Like, that was a big part of their identity, whereas that probably wasn't a part of their identity as much.
Yep.
And, like, even, like, if you play for the Broncos, yes, you represent Brisbane, but it's not as strong as a country. Like, you're usually more passionate about your state of your country rather than your suburb.
Yep.
And I think that actually helps. Like, it's been a hindrance in the past where they've been forced to kind of select New Zealand players, but I actually think it's helping now because the best New Zealand players are staying there.
Yeah.
Okay, Roosters defeat the Dogs 20-18. Wow, what a game. The Dogs, they looked like they had it. The Roosters looked like they'd blown it. How'd you feel about this game, mate?
Yeah, look, I thought the Roosters, they weren't at their best last night. The Dogs definitely weren't at their best. I mean, they got to that 18-8, obviously, lead. But the Dogs, they finished with 17 errors, 68% completion rate. You're not going to win a game if you make that many errors. And the Dogs, especially at the back end of the game when they got in front, they just didn't manage the game as well as they should have. This is a Roosters side who I think now are really understanding who they are and the DNA of this footy team. And they've had a lot of time together over the past 2 years. They've now had 7 consecutive wins. They've got guys who consistently do their jobs, mixed in with some exciting youngsters. I mean, the play by Celeste Fiketti last night, that put down at the back end of the game was really impressive. Sam Walker and DCE, the combination just continues to build. And they did it all last night without James Tedesco. And you plug in a guy like Cody Ramsey, who is dangerous when he's got the ball. He's fast. He's got great footwork. The Roosters, I think, are a side who will be there at the end of the season. When the big games start to roll around, I really enjoyed the fact that they got to 18-8 and they didn't panic. They just got back to what works for them, put some pressure back on the opposition, and then defend our way to victory. And I thought they did that. What about you, Kempy?
Yeah, so I was watching closely the completion rate because my big concern for the Roosters was that they would come into this game, think they could score off every play, and a bunch of errors. So they started relatively well, but that middle period of the game, they just fell into bad old habits. And so it's crazy. You can actually look at the completion rate and the score, and it fluctuates according to errors.
Yeah.
So when the Roosters were down 18-8, I think it was, their completion rate was 67%, and the Dogs were 85% or 82%. Then by the end of the game, the Dogs are completed at 60 whatever percent, and the Roosters are completed at I think it was like 75 or 80%, and it truly was a game won by errors. Like that is. I've never, not never, but rarely do you see the score match completion rate so closely, seesawing throughout a game. This will be a Dogs game that they'll just look back on and go, wow. Like, they've got to get better at catching the ball in the back of the field for sure. Rinakama, he tried his heart out. They did target him. He got better towards, like, there was a period there where he started a bit poor, got better. But I want to talk about the big play. I will say there's a lot of people that are frustrated with Connor Tracy on that last play where Fiketti scores. And actually Fiketti is our rising star. So Sunrise local stores, we've got you covered. Need to refuel your car or your stomach? Find your closest Sunrise local store, newsunrise.com.au. He's our rising star. It is Celeste Fiketti. So let me talk about that kick.
Yeah.
It was brilliant from Sam Walker, and I'll tell you why. So he gets a quick play of the ball. He's on a short side, which brings Connor Tracy over to the short side. So much so that Connor Tracy has to be past the ball there because if a cage kick goes up, he has to be there. A cage kick is just a bomb to the corner. Because when you're on that much of a short side, a winger, you have to say literally flat, like it's a normal play. You cannot drop back at all. And so what Sam Walker did, he kicked it across his body, right foot, across his body, back into no man's land. And it's hard to kind of explain unless you're watching, but if your fullback is come to a short side like he had to, Connor Tracy, Kiraz is supposed to come all the way in like that to cover kicks like that. And Kiraz, for whatever reason, kind of missed that assignment. Galvin was left in thinking, should I go for it? Should I not go for it? So I've got to say that bomb that a lot of people are blaming Tracy for. And now, look, you could argue Tracy should have just got on his bike and just called mine and got to it. But in my honest opinion, it was actually Kiraz that should have swept in. It's like a pendulum. You've got
pendulum,
to
that's it. Yeah,
and so it actually, Kiraz should have been almost there already for that bomb. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. The pendulum is the biggest thing. And your back three, it's like a moving space. If Tracy comes over, Carraz has got to fill that space in the middle. The worst thing you can absolutely do is let the ball bounce. I mean, how many times do we see it happen where the ball bounces and then the footy gods come into play? You can't control the bounce of the footy, but I think as a back three or a winger or fullback, you like when you get back on side, you want your back three to just attack the ball and catch the ball on the full. And if you let the ball bounce, bad things happen.
Oh, and look, bad things happen indeed.
Happen, right?
So I got to give Feketi credit. That is just,
Well, he shouldn't have been there, right?
Like he's an edge back rower.
Yeah.
That has just gone on his bike on the other side of the field. This is where Serraldo will be quite frustrated. Kiraz and Galvin were closer to the ball than Feketi was.
Yep.
So if you're sitting there as Serraldo, you're saying, how is it possible that Feketi got that ball before we did? I'll tell you how it's possible. Because when that ball went up, he got on his bike and just went. And I think Feketi deserves massive credit for that. You've got to remember, Feketi hasn't played much edge footy. He's been playing in the middle. And that wasn't skill. Like, obviously, it was skill to put the football down. That was a hard put down.
Yeah.
That's not skill. That's pure effort. Like, that is, like, for all of the skill and all the names they have on paper, it was effort that won them the game. Feketi, that's why he's our rising star. He's 20 years old. He was born in Auckland.
Yeah.
He attended St. Paul's College in Auckland. He signed with the Roosters as a 17-year-old, playing for the club in Harold Matthews, SG Ball, Jersey Flegg competitions. 2023 New South Wales Cup debut for Roosters, 18 appearances, 4 tries. And 2025, 37 appearances. He debuted in 2025 and he's had 37 appearances since. But that was just all effort. And I think Robbo will love that. Like, it's one thing to win on skill. It's another thing for a young fella to say, whose job is it? It's mine.
Yeah.
It's my job.
Yeah.
Like, even though technically it probably isn't his job.
Yeah.
He made it his job. And that's the match winner. Like that. Now all of a sudden, the Roosters are going into this Panthers game flying so high with confidence. They are equal first on the ladder in points. Like, they actually might win a minor premiership this year now.
Yeah.
If they can beat the Panthers next week.
Absolutely. They're in the frame.
Like, if they beat the Panthers next week, they'll be ahead of the Panthers.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And it's all off the back of Feketi saying, I'm going to chase that ball hard.
Yeah, well, there you go. Dwayne D's text in 0457 736 736. The Roosters are tied first on the ladder, but their form this year would indicate they are a top 4 rather than a top 2 team. Kempy, you said it. I mean, there's still a chance to win the minor premiership, absolutely. Let's hear the latest now from the sheds, thanks to Best Sheds, Australian sheds at the lowest prices. This is what Trent Robinson had to say after last night's win.
Yeah, I thought we were really good in patches, really poor in patches, and then calmness and strategy to come back and win. Haven't probably had as many comebacks as this year because of the way that they're pretty calm in the last 20 minutes. They sort of work out, are we up by 10, down by 10, what do we need to do, rather than playing the end of the game going, oh God, if we lose. A lot of teams get into playing into the future where these guys sort of strategise quite well, and I feel like they've done really well with that, and they've been able to change their game to suit the last 20 minutes on many occasions. So that's a big strength.
Yeah, look, I absolutely love that from Robbo. Understanding the situation with what do we need right now? 18-8 down, 20 minutes remaining. What do we need to dial in? We don't need to score points quickly. We need to up our completion rate, which is what you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
We get more share of the ball. We then play the balls inside 20, and then we execute when we get the opportunity. Fantastic finish to the game by the Roosters.
Yeah, absolutely. The Roosters are a premiership heavyweight. With last week's game, I already locked them in. Even with this game, they didn't even play well when they got the win. Like, they didn't even play well. Now, I saw the text in regards to they're a top 4 side, not a top 2 side. They actually have the 3rd best defence in the comp.
Yep.
So, I don't think the Roosters actually get enough credit for how good they are in defence. But yeah, if they can get that job done against a Bulldogs side that, I think they're a top 8 side of the Dogs now, without playing well. Another guy I want to talk about is Rob Toyer.
Yeah.
Mate, he is...
Has he got the best footwork in the game?
Oh, it reminds me so much of RTS. So much of RTS. He's so big and powerful. And I think what I love about his development under Trent Robinson, a little bit similar to what Bellamy does, is initially he was almost known as a defensive centre.
Yeah.
Like, we knew he had the footwork. You could see it.
Yeah.
But he is focused so heavily on defence that now we're starting to see, okay, the defence is pretty much sorted. Let's look at the footwork. And he was having an absolute field day out there.
For a youngster, when you come into grade, it's usually the opposite way, right?
Yeah,
You come in
attack's
as
the
a
fun
young
thing,
outside back. Usually your attack is the main thing you focus. Rob Toya's got his defence down pat. He's done a big job at State of Origin level on some of the game's best centres. Now we're seeing the best of him with the ball in hand. To me, if the Roosters can get him early ball, he can be a dangerous threat at the back end of the season. Text here from Kempy. Cherry Evans last night, boys, has given me belief that the Chooks are a big chance. If he's not out there, the Chooks don't win. What have you made of Cherry Evans this season?
Look, I think I'll give Cherry Evans credit in the sense that, when they said he was brought there purely for off-field leadership, but also just for that calmness that he can bring, he absolutely has brought that. I actually felt there was periods there where Sam Walker's passion was getting a little bit the better of him. Like you could see him getting riled up and an error here, and I was like, even sitting there going, okay, he just needs to bring it back a little bit. I think DCE's calming presence in those last 20 minutes really, really helped him. So I'm with you. Look, as I said, last week was enough for me. They're premiership heavyweights. This just reiterates it. I think the Roosters, when they get in a finals footy, I'd be shocked if they don't make the grand final. Like, I think that they are heavyweights. Unless Panthers hit red hot form again, and the Warriors hit red hot form, then all of a sudden it's like a 3-horse race. But at the moment, the Roosters are heavyweights for me, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of other big notes coming out of the game. Billy Smith, he finished the game 211 metres, 2 line breaks, 2 tries. Nafahu White, 182 metres. Nat Butcher, 164 off the bench as well. What'd you make of that hit at the back end of the game, Radley on Hanari Tuala?
My God.
He levelled him, didn't he?
Jesus. He's still looking for his ribs on the field.
Oh, that was a bell ringer from Radley.
Holy moly. His ancestors felt that. My God, Radley, the game's over, brother. Just finish
relax.
the game, bruss, okay? Like, you just tackle him, you take him out. You're going to have to put him into next week. Jesus, what a hit. Funnily enough, like, Tuala has been such a good player for the Bulldogs this year.
Hasn't he? Yeah.
But far out that would have hurt. Oh, God.
Yeah, disappointing as well. Tupanua made his return from a hamstring injury. He went off after only a couple of minutes into the game as well. So the Dogs, unfortunately, went down in a close one to the Roosters last night. That's our Friday night review. Thanks to Isuzu. Test drive the Isuzu MUX to experience the difference. Visit your local dealer today. Don't forget, have your say anytime. 1300 01 1170 or give us a text 0457 736 736. This is Saturday League Kickoff live on Fox League and SEN. Yes, welcome back. This is Saturday League Kickoff simulcast on Fox League and SEN Radio. We were just dissecting the Bulldogs loss last night to the Roosters. Any other takeaways from the game for you, Kempy?
Yeah, definitely be one that got away for the Bulldogs. They actually did a really good job in that middle period. So Roosters started well, and then there was this middle period. When they got to 18-8, I was happy with the performance. They're sitting, I think, at about 80% completion rate.
Yeah, a lot of momentum.
And they've done a really good job at... I like the Dogs' patience because I think they understood with the size of the Roosters pack that the Roosters are probably going to win that initial battle just because of how the way physics works. But what the Bulldogs know is if they can stay within striking distance for long enough, their fitness and speed will actually overcome that size towards the back end of the game. And they did such a good job. They got the game in the perfect position, 18-8 or whatever it was. And then they just went error. So for two things, they just got to work on their catching. Because now, if I'm an opposing team, it is bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb against them. Like it'll honestly, Rinakama is such a good winger. He's young. He's got such a bright future for him.
Yep.
But it'll get to the point where they'll have to make a call of, do we lose Rinakama's incredible 200 metres a game to get a winger that can catch regularly?
Yeah.
So he's got to sort that immediately, as quick as he can, because that'll become a target. And just their positioning, they can't be caught out like that again with their pendulum and their errors. Like, they just needed to close that game out. And unfortunately, it was actually even some of their senior players that had those errors. So, Salmon had an error, Critter had an error.
Yeah.
So it'll be just one that got away. They'll look at that and they'll just be like, that was so close to going on that run and not having to worry about winning every single game. Now, next week is essentially a must-win game for the Doggies.
Yeah, absolutely. The Dogs finished the game. They had 17 errors with the ball, and their kick defusal, Kempy, was 42%. So there you go.
Huge problem.
Not good reading there for the Bulldogs. They drop out now of the NRL top 8. They move back down to 9th. Souths in 8th, currently Cowboys in at 7th. So we'll see how the Dogs finish there with their run home. All right.
I will say just quickly before we move.
Of course.
There is evidence, if they just fix that last 20,
yeah,
it's a good game for the Dogs. So there's evidence that they can play finals
Absolutely.
footy.
They're a chance to be there.
I know the Dogs fans are really disappointed, but there was 60 minutes of good quality footy there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now it's time to catch up with Peter Fegan, who's out and about doing a bit of shopping this morning with a special guest.
That's right, boys. I am back at What's Your Team here in Redcliffe. This is the store that is now, by locals, affectionately known as Church. It is the NRL merchandise megastore. The man behind it all is Lou. He joins me here again. Lou, this rack is extremely special. Talk us through it.
Yeah, being Indigenous Week, this is our top 8, minus the Warriors because, as usual, they sold out. So instead, we've thrown the Dogs in because I think they'll probably make the 8 anyway.
The Doggies will make it?
I think they
will as well. Boys, how special is this? The battle for Brisbane this weekend, again, Indigenous round. I can now reveal to you the jerseys the boys will be wearing tonight. Let's have a look at this. Here's the Dolphins jersey. Have a go at this. Here's the away side, the Broncos. Look at the detail in that. It is extremely special. The good thing is, Lou, you can frame these as well when you do purchase them. You don't have to wear them.
That's exactly right, mate. You can do whatever you like with them.
And what about the designers? I mean, full credit to them and the detail they go into.
Yeah, look, I'd have to say the artists this year, mate, they've done an amazing job. We've got all the other teams as well, but look, all the jerseys, probably one of the best years I've seen so far, to be honest.
But it's not just jerseys that you sell. I want to take you for a walk around, boys. Get a load of this. All right, let's start over here. You've got cups, you've got beer holders, you've got footies, you've got water bottles of all the clubs, you've got toys for the kids. I love this part, the bobbleheads. How good are these? And they are selling like hotcakes at the moment, I can tell you. You've got pillows up there for the kids as well, plenty of toys. You've got scarves, you've got towels. But this is what they're famous for. Have a go at the jersey range. Have a look at this. Now, Lou, you dine out on telling people you've got nearly every jersey possible. Let's go back to 2008. Broncos taking on Parramatta at Suncorp Stadium. Denan Kemp scores in the final seconds of the game off a kick by Darren Lockyer. Look, he never likes to talk about it. He's probably upset that we're mentioning it now. Have you got that jersey?
Look, I don't have them anymore. We had to give them away, mate, because they just wouldn't move. Couldn't sell them. Sorry.
I didn't say anything, Denan. That wasn't me at all. Okay, whatsyourteam.com.au is the best way to shop online?
Get online, at our website, as you said, whatsyourteam.com.au, or come up the sunny Redcliffe, beautiful place, and enjoy.
Apparently all the New South Wales jerseys are gone, though. You had to burn them?
No, mate. We sold out of them quick smart after game 3. But, yeah.
We've got a really special announcement as well, boys. This Monday, Perth Bears fans, pinch yourselves. The moment has arrived. This Monday at What's Your Team here in Redcliffe, or whatsyourteam.com.au online, the jersey, your inaugural Perth Bears home jersey, will be on sale. How good is that?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, mate. Expect some big sales on that one. So, we'll have me ready to go.
There you go. Whatsyourteam.com.au, or head to the What's Your Team store here in Redcliffe. Look it up, you'll find it. Battle for Brisbane this weekend. You know who I'm on, boys. Go the Bronx.
Fins up.
Shots fired, Kempy.
What the hell?
You copped
I don't come to work on a Saturday for that.
copped a few strays there.
What the hell is going on there?
Lou, there you go.
My God.
A few strays from Lou.
What the hell?
There you go. What's your team? NRL store. Represent your team. A really big range there. The retro jerseys are flying.
I think he's got a bad memory. I think they flew out the door and he just can't remember it.
Yeah.
That's what happened, and he's upset that he can't get more. Sorry, mate. It's a collector's edition now.
There you go.
Worth thousands per jersey.
We will chat about that North Sydney, the Perth Bears jersey a bit later on in the program. They obviously launched it yesterday. Kempy, it's now time for a New South Wales Rugby League and Queensland Rugby League update. Thanks to Sumo Energy, local energy with real Aussie support. Round 23 of the New South Wales Cup got underway yesterday with the Warriors hosting Penrith. It was 6th place Warriors taking the win, 36-24 over the comp leaders, and sees them move up to 4th. Just the one match today, the Rabbitohs up against the Eels at Redfern, kicking off at 2:15 p.m. And then there's 5 games on Sunday. The Dragons and the Jets at midday in the Gong, followed by the Roosters and the Dogs at Wenny Park. Then the good old days with the Bears and the Magpies at North Sydney Oval at 3 p.m. The Storm play the Sea Eagles, and it all wraps up with the Raiders taking on the Knights at GIO Stadium. And Kempy, what about the Queensland Cup, the second-tier competition up there at North? The North.
Wow, seriously. Queensland Cup, where they actually have a bit of ticker. Round 20 of the Queensland Cup kicks off with the top 5 clash between the Burleigh Bears and the Wynnum Manly Sea Eagles at 3 p.m. The Northern Pride take on the Brisbane Tigers in Cairns. The PNG Hunters are at home against the second-place Dolphins. And to wrap up Saturday, it's the comp leaders Falcons taking on the Mackay Cutters at Sunshine Coast Stadium, and the Central Queensland Capras play the North Devils in Rockhampton. On Sunday, the Magpies and Townsville Blackhawks kick off at 1:30 p.m. And the Western Clydesdales go head-to-head with Tweed Seagulls in Toowoomba at 2:10 p.m.
There you go. Don't forget, have your say anytime, 1300 01 1170, or give us a text 0457 736 736. Plenty more to come in the second hour. Up next, we'll preview all the weekend's matches. This is Saturday League Kickoff with Chad and Denan. Yes, welcome back to Saturday League Kickoff, simulcast live on Fox League and SEN Radio, all thanks to Crust Pizza. Real ingredients, unforgettable flavours, classic pizzas from $15. Have your say anytime throughout the show. Give us a call, 1300 01 1170, or send us a text 0457 736 736. Our first hour recap, we reviewed Friday night's two matches, the Warriors beating the Panthers 28-12, and the Roosters come back 20-18 against the Bulldogs. And with thanks to Fitness Outcomes, fuel your goals with Fitness Outcomes high protein meals. Kempy, what were the outcomes from these games, mate?
To the events that happened, these are the outcomes. With the Warriors getting the win, they jump up to second on the live ladder, equal with the Roosters on 34 points and just 2 behind the Panthers. But hold on. After the Roosters win, they join the Panthers on 36 points and reclaim second place on for and against, with the Warriors in third. For the Bulldogs, the lost season dropped 1 place out of the top 8, giving their finals hopes a huge blow.
Well, there you go. Coming up on the program, we'll count down to Saturday footy, kicking off with the Storm and the Seagulls. We'll preview Sunday's 2 games, plus we'll get into the Cowboys' bounce-back win over the Titans, and we'll chat the latest news. The Perth Bears, their inaugural jersey was dropped yesterday, and some players' media obligations not being met. We'll chat that as we move on, but it's now time to dive into Saturday's matches.
The Saturday Game Preview. Caltex lubricants give you the performance and reliability you can rely on.
Just quickly before we get into Saturday's matches, Kempy, text here from 484. Morning, boys. Great to see the product in the hairstyles this morning. Looking great for the morning program on Fox. Have a look. A bit of product.
Bit of product.
The boys, yeah.
I'm trying to look distinguished. I went to the hairdresser, like, can you make me look distinguished? They said, nah, sorry, bro. Can't happen.
There you go. SEN, the live coverage from 2 p.m. this afternoon. Storm versus Seagulls over there at Perth, HBF Park, which kicks off at 3 p.m. Munster returns from a knee injury. He'll partner young Hayden Watson in the halves. Tyron Wishart moves to hooker. Trent Talau slides to the bench. What do you make of this game, mate? Both of these sides?
Yeah, look, the Storm, obviously they can't make finals. I will say, this is a measure of where the Storm are at in regards to who they are as a club.
Yeah.
Every other team that can't make the finals, we usually sit here and say, okay, they're thinking about Bali. They're gonna struggle. They're gonna struggle.
Yeah.
For example, Broncos, when they can't make the 8, everyone's gone, okay, 1 foot out the door. And it's very normal to think this team can't make the 8, therefore they're going to struggle at the back end of the year. The Storm aren't that organisation.
No.
They are truly 1 in a million. They are the benchmark of Australian sports, still in my opinion, and I think they're going to continue to show it for the rest of the year, that they got nothing to play for. They got a million injuries, but their standards won't drop. They're still going to be putting everything on the line. We saw it last week in the game that they played.
Yep.
And look, from the Manly perspective, it's such an opportunity.
It's a big game for them.
It is like, now, even if they don't make the 8, it's still a successful year. But perception is everything. Perception is everything. It's not necessarily what the truth is. It's what everyone thinks the truth is. And if they miss the 8, it's just going to be seen as a failure. No matter how much you try and spin it and say, look where they came from, look how all their re-signings, look at they've got a good young 7 coming through.
Yep.
And so it really will help them head into next season with a bit of a spring in their step if they make finals, and it starts today. It has to start today. It cannot start next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Manly side, obviously, with the way that their football has been played over the past month. They need results. And when you start thinking about results instead of like the process of how you actually play, that's when you tend to get yourself in a bit of drama. And I think just with regards to the urgency at the back end of the game, like the reality is if they don't win, or if they don't start winning, they won't play finals football. And you're right, they'll consider that season or this season a bit of a failure from the heights that we've seen them play this year with this group. Just on the Melbourne Storm, I mean, Hayden Watson, I absolutely love what this kid did last week on debut. He got in front of Viliami Kikau, one of the most dangerous back rows in the competition, made all his tackles. He took him on with plenty of runs. His kicking game was great. His technique was great. I love the way he got himself into the game. And this is a real look into the future of the Melbourne Storm. And he'll partner Cam Munster this afternoon, which will be interesting to see how these two and the dynamic plays out, right?
Yeah, I think that is kind of writing on the wall that they won't re-sign Munster.
Yep.
I don't know why you would sign a youngster till 2030. Such a long contract.
Yep.
Unless you were... look, the deal would have already been negotiated, but I think just seeing him in first grade, and look, was he the best player on the field? No, but for a rookie... he was outstanding. He was outstanding. And I think the Storm looked at that and said, you know what, we need to pull the trigger. Let's lock him in. And so I know that the Storm have come out and said they've already offered Munster 2 years.
Yeah.
I just doubt it. I don't think they have. I think that it's more the more that they look like they want to keep Munster, the stronger he is in negotiations.
Yep.
But I think the fact that they've signed him to 2030 suggests that he's the next man up. I can't wait to see him play. He's an absolute gun. Absolute gun. He's fast. He's quick. He reminds me a lot of... Hughes, actually, the modern seven, Can you really get away? And I'd love to ask you, in today's game, can you really get away with just being a conservative seven anymore?
No way. Not anymore. I think nowadays you've got to have the full package. You've got to have the ability to run the football. You've got to have the passing game and the kicking game. And obviously, some players don't have that full package. Some do. Obviously, the best ones are the highest paid players in the competition. But I think the days where you come into football, the game is geared more towards the game of touch football with the speed now. And what does that mean? The structure goes out the window.
Yep.
The quick play the balls over the advantage line, running the football, moving into space, and just reacting. And the halves who have the most success in the modern game are the halves who react the quickest. And they get the ball in their hands, and then the rest of the side, the best supportive teams. I mean, we see the Roosters, the way that they get a quick play the ball. Reece Robson will run. Everyone else over the advantage line. You've got Tedesco, you've got Walker there. So I think that's the key now in the modern game. And I think as a young half coming in, you cannot miss the jump. You cannot be sitting back deep. But everything that Hayden Watson has done in his junior career and everything he did last week in his debut, I really liked, and I'm looking forward to seeing how his career progresses. Got a text here from Todd for you, Kempy. Hi, boys. Do you think the bubble has burst on Manly? Cheers. I mean, they're obviously outside the top 8 at the moment, Kempy. They're in that sort of battle for probably that 8th spot. They currently sit in 10th on 9 wins, 10 losses, 2 points behind the Dogs in 9th and 2 points behind the Rabbitohs, who are in 8th. Is their season done, or is there...
I think if they lose this week,
today,
it's done.
It's today.
Yeah. I look, it's a tough one. I'm not confident in this, but I will say it's very hard to capture lightning in a bottle twice.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that you can... You've been a part of squads as well. Like when people ask you, I was a part of the extended squad, but in 2006, when they won the comp, people ask, what was the difference? It's like, I don't feel like we trained that much harder. Like there was just something. It was something intangible.
Yep.
You would have been a part of it too. And so you can go back and train exactly the same way. You can rock up to training. And I look at Manly and I look at that and I say, have they just lost a bit of that magic that they kind of were building on? And then they had some close games that they should have won, they didn't. All of a sudden, momentum's gone. I think they might struggle to recapture that at least this year. What do you think?
Yeah, I just feel like the pressure of their situation may get to them at the moment, and obviously they're doing it without not only Turbo, but Clayton Fulalo this year when he's played fullback has been outstanding. Yes, Lehigh is a very good option at fullback, but I just think that Clayton Fulalo, when he comes, I'd be plugging that kid straight back into fullback. The passing ability he showed, I didn't know that he had. He's been a real surprise packet for me. Obviously, Turbo, when he's fit and healthy, you know what he can do and what he brings to the football side. Not only does he bring creativity, points, but he also brings, I think, a sense of belief to the football team. Like if you're lining up and you've got Turbo there, hey, we've got Turbo today. We're good. At the moment, I just feel like the pressure's getting a little bit to the Manly Seagulls, Kempy.
Yep, well, I guess we'll see. See. It's over at Perth. Dolphins v the Broncos. Huge game. The battle for
Battle
Brisbane.
of Brisbane, yeah.
Look, I think that if you're Christian Wolf, you're sitting there going, you're showing them some old clips of this is our house. And you're looking at this as a huge opportunity to go out and absolutely pulverise the Broncos. They are genuine rivals. The rivalry goes as high as administrations in regards to recruitment and all that kind of sneaky stuff that gets done behind the scenes. They're looking at a wounded Broncos side that is limping to the end of the season. It's a dangerous game. A really big opportunity for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, the Dolphins last week, they weren't great, to be honest. I didn't feel like they played well against the Dragons. They kind of did what they needed to do. I thought they were in second gear for a lot of periods of time. I thought they just might have thought they were going to win easy. Where tonight, I mean, a derby, right? And form usually goes out the window. We know that the Broncos are missing a lot of players for tonight's game, but also, this will be a massive crowd. This will be a sold-out crowd, and that's what you get up for as a player, regardless of who you are. You want to get out there and play on the biggest stage in front of the biggest crowd, and this will be the biggest. It'll be box office tonight at Brisbane. I just think the Dolphins, with the fact that they have so much more to play for, it should mean more to them. So what I want to see from the Dolphins is I want to see them, I want to see them start physically, but also I want to see them go on with it. Let's really put in a complete performance tonight and send a message to the competition to say, hey, like, we are here, we're going to compete. They probably won't finish in the top 4. They'll probably finish around that 5th position, I'd say, come the end of the year. But I think this is a side, you talk about the top 4, the winner of the premiership coming from the top 4. The Dolphins are probably the only side outside the 4 at the moment that I think, if they get hot and go on a run, could cause some damage and potentially take it out if they were to play well at the back end of the year.
I will say, the Sharkies have a dream run home. They do. But if I'm the Dolphins, I am pushing for that top 4.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm really desperate to get in that top. So their points differential is 90. So, the Sharkies are way ahead in that points differential. So you're hoping that the Sharkies drop 2 games and you win every single game, which is a big ask. It's a big ask, but I'd still be pushing for it because history would suggest you've got to make the top 4. But it needs to start now with the Dolphins. Look, they've had their down game, which was that crazy loss against the Sharkies. They need to start. I still think they haven't fully recovered from it. They need to start building this week. They really need to. In regards to the Broncos, look, what
do they want to salvage at the back end of this season, Kempy? Obviously, Reynolds is out this week. Duffy's into the lineup. There's been a bit of talk around what do they do with Anna Reynolds for the rest of the year. But what do you want to see from the Broncos with regards to, because we spoke about the Melbourne Storm, right? Their DNA is not giving up, playing to the end of the year and trying to get some wins. What about the Broncos? What can they salvage from this season and take into next year?
I think the biggest thing they need to kind of, show everyone is that they're a united group at the moment.
Yeah.
If they lose every game heading into the back end of the year, it is very hard to quieten the noise that Madge has lost the playing group.
Yeah.
They are sitting think about this, and we all have a joke or whatever about the West Tigers. They are sitting lower than the West Tigers right now. The West Tigers have more wins, and so everyone that's sitting here speaking so negatively about the West Tigers, look at the Broncos. I've been a big proponent. I can't speak for anyone else. I think Madge is the man for us. I really do.
Yep.
But tweaks need to be made. Changes need to be made. I look at this Broncos side, and last year I gave Madge all the credit for the premiership. He deserved all the credit. It's absolutely amazing what he did. But if you're going to give him credit for the premiership, you've got to hold him accountable for where we're at right now.
Yep.
Sitting 16th with this roster, I don't care how many injuries they've had, is not good enough. It is not good enough. You look at some of these other rosters, what they've had to go through.
Yep.
Look what the Rabbitohs have had to go through.
Yeah.
The Eels are sitting higher than us.
Yep.
I think some really deep soul searching needs to happen, and I think some tweaks need to be made. I think whatever they did this year, it absolutely hasn't worked. Some tweaks need to be made. And Madge keeps saying that I'm really happy with the effort at training. They try really hard. They train really hard. If that's true, then clearly whatever you're doing at training isn't working, and you need to change that as a coach. So, as I said, I do think Madge is the man going forward, but tweaks need to be made, and I do think they need to have some big wins in the transfer market as well, because at the moment, that Mitch Barnett, they got lucky that he had that situation going on because he would have stayed at the Wars. Outside of that, Pezzit's currently sitting in reserve grade at the Eels in a club that's struggling.
Yep.
It's an uphill battle. So they really need to make some moves.
Well, Billy Walters, he's back in the starting side in this game at hooker, and he'll play his 100th NRL game. Corey Pakes is out. A bit of talk this week around Billy Walters potentially being targeted by the Titans to move there. I mean, we know they've got Pakes and Ben Hunt on the roster next year, and Walters. 3 kind of into 2 doesn't really, add up. But it'll be a big game for Billy. I think he's looked sharp since he's come back and worked his minutes up for sure. Anything more to add there, Kempy, or do you want to move on to the last?
We've got a text here. It's a great text.
Righto.
Hi, guys. This is genuinely some of the worst analysis I've heard. I expected to hear quite a bit about the first game from last night. High-quality footy with both teams showing some incredible skill. and I get both of you giving the Roosters a big rap. Toya does not have the best footwork in the comp, wouldn't be the top 5. Madness. Broncos will get up for tonight, upset the Dolphins. Well, Fred.
I must have missed the first hour. Fred.
Yeah, your timekeeping is terrible. It is terrible, and your inability to look at how long the show's been going for, also the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The worst I've ever seen.
All right, we'll leave that there. We'll move on. Rabbitohs versus Eels now, Saturday, 7:35 at Allianz Stadium. Kempy, the Rabbitohs are back at Allianz Stadium after a handy fight on their hands. Big names returning for the Bunnies. Cam Murray is back, and also David Fafita and Tallis Duncan return for the Bunnies. Welcome inclusions to their side at the right time of the year.
Now or never for the Bunnies.
Yep.
You know, like they've shown these glimpses, really, really good footy within matches. But honestly, I haven't seen them. Maybe the Storm game earlier this year, but it's been few and far between of an 80-minute performance.
Yep.
And the concern I had, I understand they were missing players last week. I really do. And the Sharkies are red hot. But my concern for the Rabbitohs last week was they started so well. Then when it went to just good old-fashioned, boring traditional footy, which is high completion rates, get in the grind, they just fell away. Now, I'm reserving full critique until this week. They've got most of their players back. I know Latrell's not back, but most of them are back.
Yep.
If they come out and play similarly this week against an Eels side who has been quite up and down and respectfully, was really poor last week, they're lucky to get the win.
Yep.
If they do it again this week and they're really scratchy, then I'll have a fair bit of critique. But I'm waiting for the players to come back in. I will say, though, I don't feel that they've set a good standard for themselves this year, the Rabbitohs. I feel like their position on the table kind of flatters them a little bit. It's purely been through just gutsiness.
Yeah.
Like it's just gutsiness that's got them to the middle of the table.
Yeah, they've been a bit inconsistent this year, the Rabbitohs, up and down. Obviously, they've had their injuries concerns, as most sides have, but I just feel like at stages throughout their games, they can just really switch off. Like last week, they fought hard, but ultimately the Sharks, I think, were much more consistent over the course of the 80 minutes. And made them pay. And I agree. I think that the inclusions are significant. When you can add arguably one of, if not the best lock forward in the competition with his work rate, Cameron Murray, his ball-playing ability.
Leadership too.
Leadership, you're right, Kempy. Tallis Duncan, the young tearaway, the centre. He's obviously really important to the footy side as well. And I think they'll be expected to win this afternoon against Parramatta, who have had their challenges so far this season. We will move on to Parramatta because we've got a couple of texts here on Parramatta. Let me see if I can find it. It says, "G'day, boys. Just wanted to know what you think about Parra's season. Seems Riles is getting a free ride at the moment, considering he's signed hardly no one next year except Jerome. They're trying hard, but seems like they're not getting better." That's from the Dubbo Panther, Kempy.
Well, like when you look at Riles, since arriving to the club, what do you reckon? He's had Mitch Moses play 30% of the time?
Yeah.
And Mitch Moses is so the key to that team. They're not some of the big teams at the moment that can kind of like fall back on other superstars.
Do they rely too heavily on Mitch Moses?
Well, you could argue that Riles has tried to kind of diffuse that reliance a little bit, and it hasn't really worked. Look, they are one team that have been smashed by injury 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed with their game last weekend. Look, I think that, because there was a message earlier around, is he getting a free pass from the media?
Yeah.
I think more the media is going, look at how many injuries he's had. And it also, not only has he had a bunch of injuries, when he came to the club, it was a pure rebuild. He was starting from scratch.
Yeah.
He's still got guys currently that he's paying from the old administration, their contracts. So I just think Riles has been given a bit of grace because he's at the start of a rebuild. He's had a massive, massive injury toll. His main player, Moses, has, in the last 2 years, what do you reckon he's played? 10 games? Maybe 10 games? So I just think that's why people are less. Yep. I will say, though, that the patience is probably wearing thin a little bit. And heading into next year, unfortunately, all these close games that they're really gutsy in but lose, he probably won't get the pass next year if that is still the case.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the sort of 1 year fix-its as well in the 5/8 position with Pezzett this year hasn't worked for the Eels. Next year you get Jerome Luai, it'll be all eyes again. And they didn't make the 8 last year, won't make the 8 this year. If they don't make the 8 next year or they start off the season really poorly again, questions will start to continue to be raised for this Parramatta side, Kempy. How long can they sort of, continue? I guess we sense a lot of frustration on the text line as well. this morning, 0457 736 736 from Parramatta fans. You know, they haven't really had a lot of success in the as long as I can think, to be honest. I can't remember.
They were under Brad Arthur. They were making grand finals and prelims.
Yeah, they grand final in 2022. But since 2022, right, it has been a bleak period for Parramatta.
It has, and that's why they're in a rebuild. And I know fans will sit there and say, "Oh, we're constantly in a rebuild," but they shot for the stars. In 2022 they got to a grand final and they fell a little bit short. Like, I understand it's easy for me to say because I'm not an Eels fan that has been suffering for 40 years or whatever, not winning a premiership. But they have made runs at comps recently.
Yeah,
and they made that run. Their players aged out, and now they're starting again. So
we got a text here from Macca at Bowral. Gents, I need to have a rant. I've been a long-suffering Para fan since 1986. I'm sick of hearing about a rebuild. We've been rebuilding for 40 years. Sadly, we have no heart and soul. What's our DNA? It's just a big brand club that's living off its 1980s culture. We lived off the glory, the last team to win 3 in a row, but Panthers have since abolished that status. Highmarsh, Hayne, Kalis and Burt were our last of the true old boys. Not sure where we go from here. Rant over. Macca, thanks for that text. Great text. Obviously, a very successful club, long period of time. You talk about some of those names, significant names who resonate with the Parramatta Eels DNA.
Yeah,
Is that too harsh, you reckon?
It's a little bit harsh because they didn't win a grand final.
Yeah. They played in a grand final.
So did some of these other boys. So I get it because he's looking at it from a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to argue against. I would say they did make a grand final. So I guess we'll see. Moses has played 27 games the past year. So
Damo, well done.
26 games. You're looking at what? So there's 60 games over 2 years.
Yeah.
Sorry,
24 games in the season. So
24 games, but So you're looking at about 50 games.
Yeah.
So he's played about 55% of the season.
Which you need your best player, your highest paid player, playing a lot more games than that.
Yeah, more than 50, like 55% or whatever it would be.
Yeah.
You'd probably want at least an 80%.
Absolutely.
The reason for...
More than 20 per year.
Yeah, definitely more than 20. But the reason the Panthers have been so dominant is because they have the least amount of injuries.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at the Eels. So I guess we'll see. Anyway, guys, have your say. 0457 736 736. Up next, we'll preview Sunday's games. This is a Saturday League kickoff with Chad and Denan. Welcome back to the Saturday League kickoff with Chad and Denan. Give us a text 0457 736 736. All right, let's get into the games. SEN League coverage from 1:58 p.m. Raiders v the Knights. How do you see this one going, mate?
Yeah, look, I've been really impressed by the Knights this season. I've loved what they've done, and I know they've done a lot of their work with the loss of some key significant players. Obviously, Dylan Lucas, Dylan Brown as well, out of the footy side. They're straight up starters for them. But I've got to say, some of the guys that have come in and done a job, especially last week, young Francis Manu-Leilua, man, give yourself a pat on the back. Hasn't he been outstanding? Really just taken his opportunity. Then on the other edge, you've got Jermaine McEwen, and that all of a sudden has the Knights fans asking, what do they do when Dylan Lucas comes back? Lucas will be straight back into the football, so don't worry about that. But to have the depth there between these other two young tearaways who just compete, Manu-Leilua was fantastic last week. The Raiders... last week against the Panthers were really disappointing. And the weeks before that, really impressive. And I think, now they're probably getting to a stage where, this sense of urgency at the back end of their season. They won't make the 8 now. Sanders played some really good football in that period, but I think the Panthers taught them a real lesson last week. But, look, I like the Knights in this one, Kempy. Where are you at? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think the Knights, and I would have put my hand up. I had the Knights for bottom 4 at the start of the season. Yep. I just thought that they were a few years off being competitive. So I want to make that clear. I was wrong. Now I've said that, they have flown under the radar in regards to how quickly they have managed to establish an exciting young fullback. Because when you take out Tyson Frizzell and Saifidi, you look at Trey Mooney, Hopgood, Francis Manu-Leilua, McEwen, and then you look at Dylan Lucas, that's an average age of 24 years old.
Yeah, wow.
24 years old. They can play together for another decade nearly. Now, that's a side heading into this year where I said if there is one clear weakness, it's a forward pack that's either inexperienced or young. Obviously got Matty Croker as well. He's 26.
Yep.
That's exciting. And I think that, I've been caught up looking at the Dragons young forward pack, the Warriors young forward pack. I think the Knights have flown under the radar. And also there's some other young guys that are playing in the Australian schoolboys and that.
Yep.
I think when you actually look at this Knights pack and you look at where they're already at, you look at how good, like Holbrook will win Dally M Coach of the Year. I think that's already locked in now.
Yeah.
It's exciting for the Knights. And I'm trying to think of a time in the last few years, like the last 5 to 6 years, where I've looked at a young Knights forward pack and said, wow, look at the future. I can't recall. I genuinely can't recall. Even when Wayne Bennett came to the club, that was an older side. That was older recruits that he brought to the club. I can't really recall a time where I've looked at and said the Knights are starting to fully take advantage of that huge cashman of players they've got.
The thing for the Knights that's been impressive for me is you talk about, and when you and I have spoken about it, sometimes it's not if you lose, but the way you lose. And the Knights play a brand of football or a style of football that I think really resonates with their fans, and a style that they can be proud of. And that's why I love watching the Knights. I mean, last year, they were the worst attacking team in the competition. They were hard to watch last year with the way that they played their football. But this year, Holbrook has completely changed that dynamic. He's given more license to Kalen Ponga to get his hands on the ball and jumping that first receiver, which we've seen for big parts of the year. As well, which is what I've seen from KP at numerous times throughout the season, is his passion in the football team and his energy when there's a big play, when someone scored a try, when he's trying to fire up his team. He's in there. The highest paid player, your captain, is in there leading the energy and getting around the boys. And that stuff is infectious and doesn't always happen from the big dog. Sometimes they can just stand off and just be like, great work. But to me, he's really leading the football side with the energy. And then it resonates with everyone else. Everyone else, it's infectious. Everyone else gets involved in it. Then all of a sudden, it's a mountain of energy and possession, and then they make the most of it. I've really loved it. What have you made of KP and his performances this year?
Sometimes players like KP can look at, all right, I had 3 try assists. I ran for 200 metres.
Yeah.
I'm the best player in this. That's my contribution to the side. It's me just being the best on the field. And I think KP has grown as a leader and said, you know what, I can actually offer more. Not only can I be the best player on the field, but I can be the energy and just get the boys up, especially such a young kind of side that's coming together. I'm super excited about the Knights, and I just also like the style they play in regards to, a lot of people say when the Melbourne Storm were dominant, everyone was copying the Melbourne Storm footy. Penrith Panthers become dominant. Everyone wants to copy the Penrith Panthers. What I like about the Knights is they are really creating their own style of footy. It's actually closer to Manly, or you could say Manly's closer to them, whatever you want to say. Very different style of footy. And what excites me about that is it does give you a bit of hope that if we can develop these young guys, we don't have to worry about being a lesser version of their premiership heavyweights. I think sometimes teams go against the Panthers and they go, and I'm not including the Warriors in this one, but they go against the Panthers and they go, look, we can play the best we've ever played, but we're just a second-rate version of the originators, which is the Penrith Panthers. What's exciting about the Knights is they don't play that style of footy. They are side to side. They will spread it out of their own. They will go back like literally side to side, spread defenses, so there's big gaps. They can't get line speed. Watching it live against the Broncos just had no answers. They just had no answers for it. So very exciting times.
You spoke about Trey Mooney before. This season, he's played 18 games. He's averaged over 100 metres in every game. As soon as the Raiders released Trey Mooney, I knew it was a mistake, and it's proven this year. That's from the Green Raider. Another one from Banksy. Trey Mooney to have a huge game against his former club this weekend. Let's go. Your thoughts on Trey Mooney? He last year couldn't make the Raiders bench or starting side. He was playing New South Wales Cup for long periods. He's obviously taken an opportunity up there at Newcastle and really just grabbed a hold of this opportunity. And now he started for majority of the year.
Well, and Sai Fetty's been out for quite a few games as well. I think for all the Raiders positive, they've done so much right. They've pretty much nailed all their decisions. This is one where I think they probably look and go, you know what? We probably got that wrong. He probably was closer to first grade than we thought. And maybe we could have made some tough calls to bring him in because he was patient. The thing is usually what happens is when you got a young gun like Trey Mooney, he puts so much pressure on the club that the club's like, mate, you're 2 years away. We can't put you in now. And then so all of a sudden he goes, give me a release. They release him. And you can't really blame the club in that situation because you're like, well, we can't put you in now. You're not ready. The difference with this is Trey Mooney was super patient at the Raiders. He waited year after year after year. And look, I will say in the Raiders' defense, when he did play for the Raiders, he wasn't playing the way he's playing at the moment. But maybe he just needed more game time and more responsibility to bring that out of him.
And sometimes you need a bit of a fresh start as well, a new opportunity to be coached by new coaches, to be in a new environment, out of your comfort zone, and change. They always say change is as good as a holiday. Trey Mooney absolutely making the most of that opportunity. That game, Sunday, 2 p.m. down there at GIO Stadium. Let's move into the next one. The local derby, Kempy, Dragons versus Sharks, Sunday, 4 p.m. at St. George Venues Jubilee Stadium. Form usually goes out the window of this one, but I tell you what, the Sharkies' form at the moment has been red hot, really impressive. What do you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, look, it's I think it's a bit of a danger game for the Sharkies because the Dragons aren't actually as bad as their ladder position would suggest. I actually don't think they're the worst team in the comp right now. So the Sharkies, it's a danger game because you don't want them to go in going, we are red hot form. It's the first year where the wider audience has kind of looked at us as premiership threats now. We're on a winning spree. We beat the Dolphins 66-0, and then we went in and did, beat the Bulldogs, beat the Rabbitohs. So it's a bit of a danger game. I just think they need to just settle into the game. And I think they did that really good against the Rabbitohs. So the Rabbitohs started red hot, and the Sharkies just went, okay, sweet, go back to really conservative footy.
Yeah.
We've been here a million times before, and I think the benefit of having a team that's played together for essentially, if you include New South Wales Cup, you're looking at like 8 years now.
Yeah, a long time.
And I think you're starting to see the benefits of that for the Sharkies, where they're so calm and so comfortable next to each other.
Yep.
And so, I do think they'll win. I just hope they don't come out thinking they're going to blow the Dragons off the park, because I think the Dragons have been much better than their ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last time these two teams played down at Ocean Protect Stadium, the Dragons, I think, led at half time. They were actually in the occasion, and then in the second half they made a stack of errors which put them on the back foot. The Sharks, you mentioned it, Kempy. When I watch the Sharks, they've got this ability to score points very quickly, but also if something happens where they make an error or something goes against them, I feel like they can change their style of football from being really attacking to then, boom, let's just grit our teeth, get back to our kick, build our completion rate back up. That was on your point before with regards to the errors and the completion rate and the scoreline. The Sharkies have the ability to be really dynamic and then drop back into those gears where, hey, we're in almost autopilot.
Yeah.
Well, we know we can go through the front door with Adam Fanua-Blake and with our forward pack and Blake Brayley running the football, and then Trinda will put the ball into the corner and we'll try and bash you, and with our line speed and our defence. I've loved what the Sharks have done over the past 5 weeks. They're playing, I think, a style of football that can win the comp. Like I'll say it, I think the Sharkies can do it this year with the way that they're playing. But when you play the Dragons at Cogra, and I did that a couple of times, it's not an easy place to play the local derby.
Yep.
Everyone from the Shire or everyone around the St. George venue is obviously very close together. You come out, the derby's there, and it'll be a big game. I'm looking forward to watching
Thoughts
this one.
on AFB off the bench? I've actually, a few weeks ago, I actually said, you know what, I want to seeing AFB come off the bench for the Blues.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, like, especially watching his form this year, he probably hadn't hit his straps this year, AFB. And now I'm confused because, so they put him back to the bench and he's been killing it. And it's actually Cole Hoon's, appearance and playing as well as he has and being
He's
able
doing
to
a
play
job
in
at the
middle.
moment, isn't he? Yeah.
It is just, the dynamic has changed for him. But Fitzy came out, Craig Fitzgibbon, and said that he will be a starting front rower. It's just because of his preparation, I think, due to injury. And I'm just like, I don't know. I like him off the bench. What do you think?
Yeah, I like him off the bench as well. I think last week was perfect. I mean, you saw the sting in the game last week and the start and the back and forth, and then the 20-minute mark, you bring on Aden, and his first couple of carries, he's splitting defenders straight away. He's straight through. The sting is out of the game.
I don't want him making 40 tackles.
And then at the back end of the game, like Blake Brayley scored that try because Adam Fanua's run, they couldn't put him on the ground. The play the ball was quick, and that's the combination between those two. Blake Brayley loves running off Adam's play the ball, and I think the ploy, and whether it is a tactic or if Adam's not 100% right or whatever it is, I just think it's really working at the moment.
Mate, I love it. I really do love it. Like, we know he can be a starting front rower. We know he's a top-tier front rower. He's one of the best in the game. But especially getting to his age, like, why make him go do the stuff? We know he can do it, but why make him? What's the point?
What about Nico Hines' goal-kicking streak? I mean, it's...
I didn't want to talk about it.
We don't want to put the mock on Nico, but he's been really dialed in with the boot, hasn't he? You can tell it really means something to him at the moment, how serious he's taking it.
He's playing better than his Dally M year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His defence is outstanding. Now, quickly, we'll move to the Dragons.
Yeah.
some talking points. So they have locked up all their young stars, essentially. All their young forwards have locked up. The challenge now is, okay, you've got a contract till 2030. Don't get lazy.
Yeah.
Don't get complacent, because we see it all the time with young fellas. They get that long contract,
Yep.
and all of a sudden, those little 1%ers, they let them go by the wayside. I'm comfortable now. I'm all set. I've got my big payday. This will be a real test for them to make sure they keep their standards.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been plenty of talk around the Dragons' retention and recruitment. They've got plenty of young, exciting superstars. And another one is set to make his debut this weekend. Gear up for the season with Struddies. Shop with Struddies because they're your buddies. Struddies.com.au. Our community local legend this weekend is Jacob Webster. He's played his junior football with the Kempsey Dragons, made his way to Wollongong as a teenager to play Harvard Matthews Cup with the Steelers, then went from SG Ball to Jersey Flegg in 2022. He's came off the interchange bench for the New South Wales under-19s. He'll make his debut this afternoon. He's made 40 New South Wales Cup appearances across the past 2 seasons. So congratulations to Jacob Webster. But the recruitment and retention by the Dragons, to be able to keep all these youngsters, like Loco wanted a release at the start of the year. Now he's re-signed long-term. Halangahu's just signed long-term as well. Obviously, we know that the Couchmans, Egan and Stewart have all committed to the club. It is a fantastic, it's fantastic signs for the Dragons.
Pacific Tonga as well.
Yeah.
It honestly, like I looked at the Tigers a couple of years ago and I was like, that's some of the best recruitment I've ever seen for a team coming last.
Yeah.
This actually is like genuinely the best recruitment I've seen for a team struggling. Mate, like when you actually sit down and think about who they've recruited, it's actually insane. Keon, top tier.
Yeah.
Scott Drinkwater, I'd argue he's top tier, especially in attack, definitely top tier.
Yep.
Luke Metcalf leading the Dally M last year, we saw what he could do with the Warriors. Cody Nikorima, part of the best attacking side last year at the Dolphins.
Yep. Connor Watson,
top tier. Like, you know what I'm
player,
saying?
Professional.
Like Philip Sammy, gun as well.
Yep.
They have recruited unbelievably. Now, again, the challenge though is that don't believe the hype though. Don't just expect that because you've recruited so well, you boys are all going to rock up and it's just all going to work.
Yeah.
You got to lock in and turn things around. But I can't remember the last time I've been this excited about a roster, probably since Mary McGregor.
Yeah.
When they had 6 or 7 Origin players. Since then, they've just always recruited super conservatively.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's exciting. It is so exciting. So I love to see what they're going to do next year.
Yeah, there you go. Lucinda from Bathurst is texting, hey guys, great show every Saturday with all the players coming to the Dragons. Do you think they make finals next year? Look,
I want to just see it first. I want to see it together. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it's looking good.
What I will say is the standards have increased dramatically next year, and obviously there's a lot to play out, but they will. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. We'll get into that a bit later on. This is Saturday League Kickoff with Chad and Denan. Give us a ring 1300 01 1170 or send us to 457 736 736. Coming to you live on SEN Simulcast and in studio on Fox League. Up next, we dive into some of the hottest topics in the NRL.
An odds update brought to you by PointsBet. It's like hot sauce, but for sport. What are you really gambling with?
Woodsy here, all thanks to PointsBet Same Game Multi. We've got a huge one this Sunday afternoon. We've got the Raiders taking on the Newcastle Knights. Who would have thought? Honestly, I would have thought Newcastle Knights were falling off that cliff. Enter Kalen Ponga. What a machine. He had him on his back last week against the Broncos. Single-handedly beat them. And any side with a KP in their side, anything can happen. But I'm going to go with the Raiders -1.5 start. They are playing the Nationals in Australia's capital territory this Sunday. And I think the weather for Newcastle might be a little bit too hard. I'm going to go points over 45.5. I think there's going to be some points in this game. And my man, Craigie Marzu, out the back of a Kalen Ponga left hedge sweep, anytime try scorer for a multi of, $6.25. You heard that. It's great odds. All thanks to PointsBet. Same game multi. Make sure you get on. But remember, gamble responsibly.
An odds update brought to you by PointsBet. It's like hot sauce, but for sport. PointsBet, built different. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us here on Saturday League Kickoff with Chad and Denan. Kempy, now time to talk some NRL news across the greatest game of all. Let's go to yesterday, actually. The Perth Bears unveiled their new jersey for season 2027. The Bears, their playing kit with the symbolic red and black hoops, a nod to their North Sydney roots. What did you make of the jersey presentation? Unveil yesterday, I think it was at the Wacker, the big jersey folded down. What are your thoughts on the jersey, mate?
I've got to be honest, not hitting. Not hitting.
Not a fan.
Not like
I don't mind it.
I like the colours.
Yeah.
The colours, I
like it. It's simple. Less is more for me.
It's not hitting. I'm sorry. Like, it's not bad. I'm not sitting here saying it's like, oh, look how terrible that jersey is. But I don't know. It's just, I think it's just not hitting for me.
It's not hitting.
It's just not hitting for me. I look at it and it's a pretty standard jersey. I know it's got the history. I get it, all that, but I feel like they went too safe. Like, I'm happy that they went traditional.
Yeah,
I am. I do like the colours, the connections. I get all that.
Yeah,
but I just feel like they went too safe. Like, even little things like go a collar at least, like something to just, you know what it is? They need to zhuzh it up. They need to zhuzh it up, bruh.
Yeah.
Not hitting, bro. Not hitting.
I mean, I've always thought like less is more. I don't mind it. I'm okay with it. I mean, how much can you spruik up red and black?
Well, like even little things like, could have they gone the ones that's like it's red across there, the middle bit with the black and white, and then the white underneath? Like, I don't know. And look, they've got other jerseys to come,
of course.
But I just feel like even that's designed, the stripe like that. I just feel it looks really simple. Like, it looks quite busy as well. There's like all little. Yeah, the logo here is absolutely massive.
Yeah, the Catch logo. Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like some little tweaks, and it could have looked a little bit better.
Yeah. All right. Let us know your thoughts. 0457
okay though, not bad.
736 736. Do you like the Perth Bears jersey? They were selling.
Got a text here. You're a fashion designer now too, B.
Forest
I get asked a question. I got to answer, bro.
Yeah. What do you think, Forestfield Matt? Let us know.
You're a fashion designer, Forestfield fashion designer.
Yeah.
No, like, look, as I said, it's not bad. I feel like they went a little bit too safe. Just some tweaks here or there, mix in a bit of old with the new.
All right, let's move into our next NRL news topic. The NRL players' media obligations, Kempy. On the back of a TV rights deal, a record TV deal, it's been suggested some players aren't holding up their media commitments. Now, under NRL rules, all players must be available to speak to the media at least once every 3 weeks. However, the rules are rarely enforced and players go months at a time without speaking publicly. A couple of players have not been speaking to the media. This has been brought to the attention of the RLPA and the NRL. What do you make of this situation, Kempy?
I think anything aside from mental health, you should be speaking to the media. Look, I do agree with Wayne Bennett's sentiments. Like,
well, I'll go. Wayne Bennett's mentioned, Kempy. Sorry to jump in. He said, this is Wayne Bennett's quotes. You beat them up big time and it has an impact on them. There's no doubt about that. They're better off saying less than just playing football. The NRL can do it. They can punish clubs, but I'll stand behind my player every time. I think he shouldn't be in the media and the limelight because of a situation that may have happened or because some journo decided he's the flavour of the month.
Yeah, so the sentiment, I understand because, like, let's say you're a young man, you're 25 years old, some stories getting made up, some kind of negative implications, or someone's gone overboard or whatever. I think you're well within your rights to be like, well, hang on a sec. Like, why do I need to be interviewed by him when I feel like he is being disrespectful towards me? Now, everyone's line of disrespect is different. So I get the sentiment. I really do. However, I just think that they're getting paid so much now, so much money, that this idea that, like, for example, Reece Welch, for example, and he actually does, when the Broncos have, I guess, responded to that and said that he's their second most interviewed player or something like that.
Yeah.
But like a Reece Welch...
He'd be the most requested player at the Broncos.
Yes, and I'm not sitting here saying that he needs to just be punished with interviews or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that if you are considered a star player and you're getting over $1 million, there probably is a little bit more of a responsibility to chat with the media. And so, although there are some in the media that might speak really negatively, I don't think that the rest of the media should be punished for that.
Yeah.
So, for example, if this one journo's been an idiot and he said something super, super disrespectful or whatever, there are a million other journos
who aren't
like that.
Yeah.
And so, I just think the game's come too far. If you had said to me, like, 20 years ago or whatever, I would have been like, okay, guys, like, it's not as it's a professional game, but are they really being compensated where they fully have to commit to something that they are not doing?
Yeah.
And you could have made the argument we're just footy players back in the day.
Yeah.
I think these days with the size of their contracts, They just got to. I actually think there should be more access. I think that we should be doing Netflix documentaries.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that I understand that the coaches are trying to keep that sanctuary of trying to win at all costs.
Yep.
And I get that to a degree. I really do. But I think they're fighting a tidal wave that's coming anyway, and we may as well get on the front foot of it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying unlimited access where it's just like willy-nilly, you get no rights over it or whatever, but I do believe that as long as both coaches do it, like for example, we should be filming so much in Origin.
Yeah.
Like Origin should be like genuinely cameras everywhere.
Give us a behind the scenes doco.
And then and then giving the coaches an opportunity to veto certain things.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying completely take the power away from the coaches.
Yeah.
But look, if we want to be the biggest sport in this country,
Yep.
look at F1 on Netflix. I don't know the first thing about F1s. Now all I know is young hot guys drive cars because I watch Drive to Survive. And they're all hot and they drive really fast.
Yeah, and they're rich.
And they're rich as anything.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about driving cars. But me and my wife, we would love to go to an F1. And maybe because they're hot, I don't know. I don't know. But we would love to because we watched the documentary and, we're connected to certain people that drive the cars and support them or whatever. So I think if we want to really shake things up and go to a whole new level, unfortunately, access is a thing. And if you're getting paid $500,000, that's just part of the gig. Yeah. Otherwise, you can go back to getting paid a couple of $100,000.
Yeah.
And we can have much smaller TV rights deals.
Yeah.
And again, I want to be clear.
Yeah.
Unless it's mental health. If you're having issues mental health wise,
Yep.
then obviously you shouldn't be talking to the media if you don't have to.
Yeah, absolutely agree, Kempy. There's a couple of things for me on this one. Obviously, I understand what it's like from a club's point of view with wanting to protect players, but also the fact, and I agree with you, there's one journo out there who's maybe done you dirty the wrong time. It's okay to say, mate, you've written this, I'd rather not speak to you. But there's a lot of other journos out there or other media outlets who want to spread positivity. And at the end of the day, my thought has always been as a player, you control the narrative. If there's a question and you're in a press conference, you don't have to answer that. Like you can say, no comment, I'd rather not answer that. I'm here to talk about the game. I'm here to talk about football. You ask me again about the game, how we played, how we're preparing. I'll answer that absolutely everything. Focus on that relationship about football. And there's a documentary style series called Hard Knocks about the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's about preseason training on a single team. And Kempy, they've got cameras in the coach's office. They've got cameras absolutely everywhere. If a player comes in and gets cut, like you actually listen and hear the conversation to a player getting cut, losing his job by the coach, how it's completely handled. And that's one of the biggest media deals and biggest media industries in the world is the NFL. And the access is absolutely phenomenal. It goes from their training or their game status to being questionable, healthy, full participant at training, half participant at training. Everything is disclosed over there. And that's why I guess they get the deal that they do. Look, I understand from sometimes where the players are coming from, but at the end of the day, I think it's not too much to ask for if players can fulfill their obligation. Once every 3 weeks, I don't think is that much.
We'll say, lucky we didn't have videos of people getting cut. I would have been getting
I'm
cut
not saying
every
do
week.
that, but I'm saying there is a time
I would have been getting cut every week. There would have been a highlight reel of me getting cut. Jesus Christ.
Mate, you're out this week. But I just think that, I think, and it's only going to continue to get, like the media and the access
Thing is,
only
it's
going to get
coming.
more.
It's
right?
coming.
That's the docos are going to come.
I get a little bit frustrated because it's like, guys, it's coming whether you like it or not. We may as well be on the front of it so we get a leg up on the AFL.
Yeah.
So look, I get it from a player's perspective, but mate, the game, you're getting paid so much money these days.
Yeah.
You just can't really hide behind that. I don't feel like doing it. It just, and I think that, okay, is it, footage of you getting cut, that's pretty hectic, I'm going to be honest. But
yeah.
And NFL's a little bit different. You're getting paid an absolute mozza.
Yeah.
However, is there a level just above that, where instead of actually seeing the bloke get cut, maybe you see him walking out or whatever?
Yeah.
I know that's harsh and it hurts, but the only way you get all that money
is
if that access happens. Because, let's say you're a media company right now that's paid $5 billion and there's a player that won't do interviews. And it's actually not Reece Walsh. He's done interviews with Fox or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you see them doing all their content on YouTube. You'd be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I can barely get an interview with this guy, but he's creating content on YouTube. But I have to pay his wages, but I don't get access to the actual content being created around it. So, unfortunately, it's just the position rugby league's in. And again, if you don't want to be in that position as a game, then RLPA, have a smaller TV rights deal, offer less content.
Yeah.
And that's the only way it's going to get. That's the only way you're not going to have to do interviews. However, I do think if a player doesn't want to speak to a specific journo because of a specific article, I do think that they should be within their rights to say no.
Let us know your thoughts. 0457 736 736. We'll move on, Kempy. The Cowboys defeated the Titans Thursday night, 30 points to 8. They turned it around after that big loss last week to the Roosters. What'd you make of this one, Kempy? The Cowboys probably did what they were thought or should have done.
Yeah, look, I didn't actually think either team played very well, but I liked how gutsy the Cowboys were because there was a period there where they were defending tackle after tackle on their line, a couple of errors, and they hung in there. So I can't be too critical. They were gutsy. They were tough. They turned things around, which is what you wanted. They're still probably quite a ways away from the heights we've seen with the Cowboys. I think they'll make the 8. I think regardless of how they go in finals footy, it's still absolutely a successful year for the Cowboys when you consider the young guys they've got coming through.
Yeah.
And you consider from where they came at the start of the year, I think it's a success. What did you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I love the way that the Cowboys responded. They needed to respond last week. Jason Tamalalo, I thought, was outstanding. Hilam Lukey, the 2 tries, the speed from the back row, I thought he was fantastic as well. Braden Burns has been underrated for them. I think he does a really good job in the back.
100 PCMs. 100
PCMs.
100 PCMs from Burns.
Wow, he finished with 259 metres. 100 PCMs. We're big PCM guys here on the Saturday League kickoff. So well done to him. But yeah, look, there was a lot to like from the Cowboys' performance. That moves them now into the top 8. They sit in 7th. They've still got to buy up their sleeve as they head towards semi-final football. So that's it. Kempy, we'll move on. We'll wrap up the show after this. This is Saturday League kickoff with Chad and Denan, simulcast on Fox League and SEN NRL. As I said, back to wrap up the show after the break. Yes, welcome back to Saturday League Kickoff with Chad and Denan. Almost time to wrap up the show. A couple of texts finishing through here. Kempy, what do we got, mate?
Okay. Josh, Central Coast. Should the amount of interviews the player is obliged to do be based off the money they earn? The more money, the more media presence. Look, I'd be fair with that. They earn so much money these days. They absolutely. And we actually got another text. There's more to life than the dirty dollar. That's fair enough. If you feel that way, go ask the players, all right, you don't have to do any obligated media or things, but we're taking $2 million off the salary cap. I think they'd turn around and say, you know what, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Players love cash. I think straight to the players.
Here's one. Journos need to be held accountable in a court of law for the impact they have on a player's mental health. I don't know about... Look, if there's...
It's part of sport globally.
Yeah, I will say, if there's defamatory statements, then there's already a path to that. I think you can't want freedom of speech and only have it when it suits you. And so let's say a journo writes an article saying this player is not a good player.
Yeah.
Yes, it hurts a player's feelings. Yes, it sucks to be that player.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, that's just his opinion.
Yeah.
Now, again, if it crosses the line into defamatory and making things up or whatever, then absolutely I agree with you. But I think that, that's having opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Another one here from the Velo Rooster. Denan is 100% right. Need to take a leaf out of the NFL and drive to survive. That's with regards to the documentary style stuff.
Yeah.
We spoke about it in the break about imagine seeing a doco around Laurie Daly and the Blues this series win.
Imagine the ride of the Blues documentary.
Yeah.
How incredible they were down and out. No one believed in them. They get the win up at Suncorp.
Yeah.
And I just think that the frustrating thing for me is it's already happening.
Yeah.
It's not like we're sitting on the precipice of something that we're kind of finding our way through the dark. Or does this content work? Does that content work? We already know it works. And for whatever reason, we're just treading water on it instead of just going, clubs, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
This is the TV deal we got.
Yeah.
Now we're all in. I do think V'landys, with that new TV rights deal, will probably push quite aggressively for more access. Now, I do think a space needs to be left, and I've already said this before, for the mental health side of things. If a player is struggling with mental health, he should be able to opt out of certain things, no doubt in my mind.
Yep.
But for the most players that are doing pretty good, they're all right. I think we need more access.
Yeah, absolutely. Last text here. Hey, boys, Chad, I thought I heard the Oracle Queenslander say he was wrong earlier. Can you check his temperature and see if he's okay? That's from the Port Mac Eel.
There's a first time for everything. First time for everything. I won't be wrong for another decade, so I got that out of the way.
Well, there you go, Kempy. Another good show.
Another great show. Thanks, Chad, for joining us, mate. We
Well done,
appreciate
mate.
it.
Well
And,
done.
Crunch Time with Peter Fegan and Andrew McCulloch. Macca, the great Macca. Those
Yep.
watching on Fox League can listen on SEN 1170, SENQ 693, or SEN on the Gold Coast, or anywhere around the world on the app. Alrighty, guys.
Yeah, huge weekend of footy this weekend. Last big game last night.
Yeah,
Big win.
absolutely.
So,
What about you, mate? You playing footy this weekend?
yeah, local footy this afternoon. Yarra Tigers. There you go.
Where are you sitting on the ladder?
Third
Third.
up the Yarra Tigers.
Okay, but wasn't there some kind of controversy? But we'll save that for next week. Save that for next week, guys. Thanks for watching.
guys.
We appreciate it. We'll see you next week.